Why do D1 schools wrestle D3 schools? And this is a topic and something that I saw over the weekend that a few people were talking about, mostly just because Rutgers started out their schedule, their 2019-2020 schedule, wrestling a couple of D2 and D3 schools, such as Centenary, as well as Pitt-Johnstown, UPJ. I'm going to refer to them the rest of this video. Pitt-Johnstown and LIU, Long Island Post. They were a D2 school, but now they are D1 officially this year. They'll still have a couple of D2, D3 schools on their schedule just because they're making that transition into D1. Now, Rutgers won all three of their duels, which isn't necessarily that big of a surprise. You know, they beat UPJ 22-9, Centenary they beat 38-6, and they put the beat down on LIU 43-3. You know, with LIU moving into that new D1 program, you're going to see that. It's going to be tough for them. But now, why are these schools wrestling? Why is Rutgers wrestling D3 schools? There are a couple reasons why. First, Rutgers has a tough schedule. Okay, Rutgers, as a Big Ten school, has a very tough schedule every single year. And it's not necessarily that bad that they're going to get some extra matches at the beginning. You see this happen in college football all the time, okay? These major powerhouse schools start out with a few easy games at the beginning of the season. Alabama does it, Penn State does it, Ohio State does it, Michigan does it, Oklahoma does it. Like all these major football schools, they have a couple of the cupcake games at the beginning of the season. Alabama maybe lasts a little bit longer because they don't have that tough a schedule, but that's another topic. So Rutgers is doing a very similar thing here with throwing a couple of D2, D3 schools, but you know what else it's doing is actually giving light to it's actually giving light to these D2 and D3 schools. It's giving them some more spotlight. And I'll tell you what, UPJ actually showed up. They have a couple of pretty solid matches. And there were some exciting matches. You know, one of the upsets was Ty Warner over Sammy Alvarez at 133 pounds. And then one other interesting tidbit is that Ryan Anderson of Centenary, you may know that name because he was supposed to go to Iowa State. There were some things that happened, but right now he's wrestling for the D3 school in Centenary. Now, he did have a couple of losses on the weekend, but I think that's very interesting. Now, does this hurt Rutgers in the long run? Does this hurt schools that want to wrestle these D2, D3 schools but shouldn't, can't? Well, they're not gaining any RPI on that. RPI is what essentially gets their guys to national tournament if in the chance that something crazy happens at the Big Ten tournament, it actually almost secures them that spot so they're able to get more guys to the national tournament. Now, these are not counting towards their RPI because they're D2 and D3 schools, where Rutgers is D1. You have to wrestle a D1 school in order to get your RPI up. But they have this strong strength of schedule because they're wrestling Ohio State, Cornell, Penn State, Michigan, Northwestern, Illinois, and Princeton, who are all top 25 ranked teams currently at the beginning of the season, so that will actually help out. Last season, they started out 4-0 on the year because they had a couple of these cupcake matches, if you want to call them, ended up 12-6. At this point in this year, I could see Rutgers going 6-0 as they head into the Ohio State match, which will be a lot tougher of a match, especially without Nick Suriano. And that's why these schools are wrestling each other, and I think it's actually is good for the sport, and it's interesting to see what happens.